Hi, this is Trevor.
Oi, mate, this is Flume, and you're listening to my new single.
We're the Anthony and Todd Show, and today we're going to be checking out the latest mixtape by Flume. Hi, this is Flume here.
Oi.
Mixtape.
Oi, are we going to keep this bit running for the... Oi, this is Flume. I can't fucking do it anymore. Never mind. We can't get this bit going for the entire episode. Flume is it's an electronic producer.
From the
Australia.
land down under.
I come from the land down under. He's mostly known for his 2016 album Skin, if that's the correct name of it, hopefully.
It's called Skin Companion, and there were two volumes of it. It was an EP.
No, there's Skin, and then there's the two Skin Companions afterwards. And Skin was a very feature-heavy album. It had like features like Little Dragon and Vic Mensa on it. It just seemed kind of lost, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on, so many worlds. It didn't seem like it really had enough going for it. Like Little Dragon, while it's a nice feature, it just doesn't have like an overarching like sense of Flume. Other notable moments like afterwards on the second Flume Companion with Pusha T, I think was nice. But again, it just doesn't. I don't sense Flume enough. I knew Flume was popular. Like, I knew he's, like, been nominated for Grammys and stuff. I didn't know he was, like, headlining, like, a lot of festivals popular. Like, I guess I didn't put two and two together that he is this popular and that he has that, like, wide electronic fan base.
Well, I mean, we're not really into, like, the electronic field, but, like, if you ask anybody in the electronic field, like, who is king right now, it's probably going to be Flume.
Yeah.
I mean, just like incredibly renowned DJ and producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the head of his field right now.
Yeah.
I don't even know who else would be taking that position if he didn't have it.
Chainsmokers.
I'm glad for Flume for keeping Chainsmokers at bay.
Keep them out of business. They had a foreclosure, and now they're living on the streets with Coldplay.
Good.
They got a cardboard box.
I would save Coldplay over Chainsmokers.
Yeah, because Coldplay at their heart wants to just be Chainsmokers.
But Coldplay also made clocks.
Going onto this album, the surprised mixtape, Hi, This is Flume, kind of took me by left field because I think this thing, in a sense of how mixtapes are commonly perceived, they can be at times just perceived as albums. Like Chance, I think pretty much all of his mixtapes have just been albums in a sort. They can be perceived or modern pretext where there's kind of like more throwaways. There's a lot of remixes on them. This is actually a well-versed mixtape where it's kind of in between the two. It's not just like remixes or just throwaway tracks. It's like a well-balanced look at Flume in a more loose setting, which is nice. There's only like a few features on here. A majority of them are like production features. Occasionally you get like a vocal feature from like I think her name's Kuka or JPEG Mafia or Slow Tie, who just sounds like Wiki but from like Britain, I think. Is he Australian?
He's British.
Okay, that's what I thought. But for majority, it's a lot of production, and I think on this project, I get a lot more sense of who Flume is, more than I have in the past. And comparison to one of the productions features on here, he's pretty similar to Sophie. Not saying he's like copying Sophie, but like similar characteristics. How Sophie's kind of built on the two edges of like jagged and angelic, and kind of like combining those two worlds into like one with like tracks like Face Shopping or Pony Boy. I think Flume has like a similar thing going on, but it's more like sharp and kind of breathless, or almost like I guess like cold in a sense. It kind of like takes your breath away. It isn't breathless. It is like stealing breath from your body, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But for the most part, we get a lot of sense of those characteristics out through the entire album. And for the most part, I think it works. I really love the intro, Hi, This is Flume, because I think just setting up how, I guess, mundane and also super repetitive recording audio features for like Instagram ads or like Spotify ads is something we haven't seen yet, and I think it's really cool how we laid that out into this like intro that actually is one of the best opening moments I've heard all year, as just like as a mindset to get you into the album. Following it up with like tracks like Ecdysis, which are just it maintains that style of like, I feel like I'm just in this weird tornado of like almost like a weird hailstorm source where there's like ice is hitting me in the face and it's like cutting me, but it's also like cold and refreshing. Weird, really weird feeling. Other moments on this record, like High Beams, how it brings out a lot of character in Slow Tie, and it just builds a nice atmosphere here to go on. So like you have this weird performance over just this like eclectic production. It actually really helps out JPEG Mafia in a sense. Not that he needs help. I bet JPEG Mafia can rap over someone reading the phone book, like rap over
Yeah.
just the words coming out of someone's mouth of the phone book, and would be interesting. It probably would be interesting. But like I feel like the two really pair up. I like how JPEG Mafia is talking about the hustle and all the dumb people, all the dumb things people do when he's only really interested in like the actual people in his life. Moments like Voices actually bring out the best of both Sophie and Flume. We get like characteristics of both styles of production played out in one track. I feel like the drums are really I feel like the drums are heavily like taken from Flume's world, while a lot of like the dramatic backwashing noise that feels like very like surreal is more inclined to Sophie. I like how the two worlds are kind of like laid out on one track, and how even the vocal feature by I like how the vocal feature by Kuka is it feels like it's a Sophie like production rip or Sophie sample. I like how the two worlds are kind of like melding into one. Like while they still have similar aspects, they are actually contrasted on the track, and they're like melding these two planets into one. I like how that like lays out. I really like the weird eclectic vocal sample on 71M3 and how it's just spliced in this weird measure. I think the only part where this mixtape kind of falls off is at the end with like Amber, where we get these like I think they're like distorted strings, or it just sounds like air moving towards the mic. I think it's like ripped from the track Yeah Right off Vince Staples' Big Fish series. Because Flume and Sophie produced that, so it just sounds too familiar. And then this album this mixtape's kind of over from that point. I don't think there's really anything else. I find this to just be a really chill, really well produced, very characteristic, like from the production. I feel like Flume is actually giving me a sense of this character throughout this entire record. The features on this all lay out. There's a lot of interesting voices, a lot of risks being taken on this. I think the only thing left is I want to see larger scale work from Flume. Anything else? I really enjoyed this though.
Yeah. I have a hard time rating like electronic albums because I don't like it. Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think about it like, oh, this is cold air hitting my face. I just think of it as like, do I like this? Yeah. Do I like the sound of this?
Yeah.
And for the majority of this project, I enjoyed the sound of it. Like from the beginning, you had the high. This is Flume, like very reminiscent of like the kind of the minimalist movement in music, where layering was like really popular. People would play like tapes and they would just keep layering it on top of each other, and whatever happened. That was the piece. That's what that reminds me of, but it also like shows, the mundane life of like being an artist. It's not always like headlining festivals. It's not all this like fun partying. You have to like do boring things like this too. Going into something like Ecdysis, which I thought sounded really good, flowing from that layering example. Tracks where I feel like there's tracks where there's a vocal sample, or tracks where there's a vocal feature, I think are infinitely like more interesting, and they really help to like break up what could honestly be a pretty mundane record. The Slow Tie feature on this Flume, and I guess that's pronounced Howls, track, like co-produced track, I felt was really fun. It just like almost gave me this weird glimpse of like what an English like lifestyle was, even though like it wasn't like accurate whatsoever. It just like made me feel like I was like in England, like living as like a young person there now. This like very lavish lifestyle. Tracks like Jewel, and this one with all these different symbols that I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
I think there's a simoleon in there, and a degree sign, and that might be a house. That I really like the weird like distorted feeling of that. It almost felt like my phone like glitched out for a little bit, and then all my text like looked like that. JPEG's feature on how to build a relationship is a track that I have kept coming back to over these past couple weeks. It's produced so well to help like elevate JPEG to a whole new level.
Yeah.
When he's producing his own stuff, he knows what he wants to do. But when Flume is also helping him, it puts him in a whole new, like, different environment. But it also, I feel like Flume has like an understanding of what JPEG wants as well. For example, like the, you know what I'm talking about? The part where the production like almost sounds like a, what? Yeah, kind of. but with the Star Wars laser gun sound lining up with what JPEG said, I thought that was really a really cool moment. Like these two are obviously in sync. The Sophie and Kuka, however you pronounce that, features on voices I felt were really really good at like breaking up these like long stretches of just electronic music, which, like I said, can get kind of tiring after a while. I didn't care for Sophie's last project, but here I appreciate what she brings to the table as well. And I also very much so agree. The only time that this thing fizzles out for me is in this back half. I felt like everything up until Amber, the 311 song.
Yeah.
Whoa. Everything up to Amber, I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is fine. And we got to Amber, and I was like, okay, this might not be hitting. And we went into Spring, and I kind of got fizzled out a little bit on it. But otherwise, the rest of this record I felt was really really interesting and eclectic.
Yeah.
And like you said, showed a different side to Flume than I've like seen before. You mentioned wanting a tighter project, but I think I'd be fine if he released another mixtape like this.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a diss at the album. I think that's just something I want to see from him in general. Just a higher production project like his previous ones. Just a higher caliber project. I mean,
I think I like the ability to take risks on a mixtape versus making sure everything is finely tuned on an album. Because this has some rougher edges on it, but that's what I find endearing about it. It doesn't feel
it's also
doesn't feel like squeaky clean electronic music.
It's also stylistic to the medium
of
the mixtape. So it's not a diss at the album. It's just something I would like to see.
Yeah.
But yeah. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and pointless at this current moment, I'm feeling like a 7-8.
I'm going to give it an 8 too.
Yeah. Have fun with it. And hope we get more from Flume and anyone else who showed up this album in the future. Slow Tie, JPEG, Sophie, Kuka, Ron Jeremy. Good.
Good.
Yeah. Until next time, guys, I'm Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see you boys.
Bye, everybody.